What's up, brewing peeps? It's been a while. Brewing Daddy is back, and we are about to brew up our very last 1 gallon Northern Brewer recipe. Yes, this is the grand finale of our 1 gallon. So we do have a 5 gallon Kolsch recipe, and we're going to be doing that one next. But this is the grand finale of the 1 gallons. We won't be doing any more Northern Brewers. We're going to be moving on to our new sponsors recipes. That's morebeer.com. Their link is in the description, by the way. So let's see what we got in this red Irish ale, I believe it is. No, it's Irish red ale, correction. Let's see what we got. So we got some Williamette hops, some typical old English ale yeast. Got our steeping bag. Oh my gosh, we got dried malt extract. I should have known. And we have some Irish red ale grains. Wonderful, wonderful. Figures I would do my very last 1 gallon Northern Brewer recipe, and it'd be a dried malt extract. I'm not the biggest fan of these, but it is what it is. All right, let's get started. All right, so we got the burner lit. We've got 1 gallon of our filtered water in, and we're going to put in another 1/2 gallon. So let's get that in there now. You know, Brewing Daddy likes to brew with 1.5 gallons, even though the recipes call for 1.25 gallons. Just never seems like it's quite enough. So I'm unorthodox. Don't repeat what I do. All right, so we got this warming up. It's going to take a minute. We just got the burner started, so I want to get it up to 150 degrees before we put our grains in. So we're going to get the thermometer in there, and we'll keep an eye on it. And once we get up to about 140-ish, we'll start putting our grains in the bag and get ready to steep them. We'll be back then. All right, our water's above 150 degrees, so we are good to put our grains in. Or actually more like 160. That's okay. We still got a long ways to go before we're going to be anywhere near a boil. And we've cut our heat back just a little bit. So we're going to get our grains in our bag without making a mess. And we have found that the easiest way to do this is to put our bag over the other bag and then flip it over. This is a big bag of grains though. Something a little bit harder. But I think we can do it. I think we're gonna make it. Got positive vibes going on here. Okay. We did it without making too big of a mess. Some of the smaller stuff kind of went through the bag, but it's okay. That's normal. We're going to tie a knot in this. And we're going to submerge it here and let it get a little wet. And I got a little clip here. I'm going to clip it onto the handle. And let's start our timer for 10 minutes. All right, so we'll steep that for 10 minutes. Once 10 minutes is up, we'll be back to pull that out. And then we'll start getting ready for our malt extract and our Williamette hops. Both of these go in at the beginning of the boil. And that's it. We'll boil it for 45 minutes, chill it, and it goes in a fermenter. We'll add the yeast, of course. But pretty simple brew. Another very simple brew. Doesn't get much easier than this. All right, we'll see you back in 10 minutes. Our timer just went off. And we're going to get this steaming bag out of here. Boy, I tell you what, that made our work really dark brown. A lot of grains in this bag for this size brew. Whole lot of grains. gonna let this drain good before I take it out. We're getting up there in temperature too. We're above 200 degrees, so I've even cut the heat back. I'm gonna go ahead and put in our malt extract right away, because we are already well above 200. All right. Get in our malt extract, and we'll get in our hops. I'm gonna leave our thermometer in just so I can keep an eye on the temperature. Although, gonna make kind of a mess with it. Get this stirred in before we go any further. I'm not going to put our hops in just yet. I want to get this up to a boil. It's so close to a boil right now, actually. Some of the malt sticking to the thermometer. I'm going to get our thermometer back down in here. I want to keep an eye on the temperature here. So we're so close to a boil right now. Very close to a boil. Looks like we're at about 210 degrees. I'm slightly above that. So we're just going to keep an eye on this. And we'll pull our thermometer out of it. Just keep stirring it until we start seeing a bubble. It's very close. I can hear it. You can tell. You do these enough, you can tell. And this milkiness will go away. I'm just hesitant about putting hops in because it's like throwing gasoline on a fire. I don't want to like have a boil over. So I'm just waiting for this to clear. Once you see all this foam disappear, and it's going to disappear, you'll know you're at the safe point. But until then, you're not safe from a boil over. What happens is when the foam will build as it gets closer and closer to the boil. But once it reaches that point of boiling, it all just disappears really quick. And then this will all clear up. You won't see any foam on top. I don't want to cut the temperature up because I don't want it to go up too fast. It's better for it to increase slowly. I've had one boil over in my brewing career, and that was the last time I ever had one, and I don't want another. It made a huge mess. A huge mess. I actually recorded that. I can't remember what brew it was. I'm gonna say it was German Pearl. Not German Pearl. That was the hops that was going in it, but it was a German brew. I believe. I could be wrong. Just have to go back and look at that one again. I got that saved for a bloopers reel, so everyone will get to see that one again. May have to bleep out some of the words I was saying though, so I don't get a bad mark from YouTube. All right, I think we're okay. I think we're close. See what the thermometer says. It's getting there, it's getting there. Me stirring it probably doesn't help. It's about 214, keeps going. It's close, it's about 215 degrees. It's gonna start boiling any second. I'm just gonna leave it there, keep an eye on it. Ah, there it went. I just saw the first couple of bubbles. Yeah, it's at 218 now. It's boiling, I can see it. Once I stir it this time, it'll probably, these suds are gonna go away. They should. You can see it's starting to clear up a little bit there. I'm gonna go ahead and put our hops in, and we'll get our timer going. Don't need scissors with these, they got an easy tear. Little easy tear thing there, so you don't really need scissors with it. Yeah, it's definitely boiling. Kind of boiling. Matter of fact, I may have to cut the heat back a little bit. Still got some suds, but it's starting to clear. You can see it now. Once I put those hops in there, got a lot of steam coming out. Oh, there it goes. That's what we were looking for. Perfect. See, it just cleared up. That's look at that pretty color. Look how pretty that is. That's beautiful. This is going to be a good brew. It has a beautiful reddish brown color. I like the color of it. All right, so we're going to set our timer for 45 minutes, and when our brew is done, we'll be back. See you then. Oh, and in the meantime, we're going to be drinking this very delicious nut brown ale that we brewed recently. Cheers. All right, so we just hit the 45-minute mark. I just cut our heat. We're going to get this transferred over into our ice bath to cool it down to about 70 degrees, and then we'll be back to put it in our sanitized fermenter. All right, so we got an ice bath here. I'll go ahead and get it all iced up. We're gonna let that sit. And it should cool down here, maybe 30 minutes or so. And we'll be able to transfer it into our fermenter once it's cooled off. We got our wort chilled. We got our fermenter here, and it's already sanitized. We got our airlock full of sanitation solution. So we're going to get our wort transferred. Looks pretty clean, actually. Ended up with a good bit this time. Didn't have the evaporation we normally get. There is a little bit of crud left there, but I'm gonna leave that alone. All right, so we're gonna put our yeast in. Actually, before we do that, we are gonna go ahead and aerate this for a couple minutes. Just shake it up a little bit. It does recommend, they do recommend it on the instructions to do this. So I know my first few Northern Brewer recipes, I don't recall them suggesting on the 1 gallon batches that you aerate them, but they did on the 5s that I've done. But here recently, the last few I've done, I've noticed it. Some folks will use an air pump with a stone and just pump air into it. This is just as effective. Might be a little bit messier and more work, but you do this for a couple minutes, it'll get enough air in it. I prefer not to put the yeast in it while I'm doing this, so it's not sloshing yeast and having yeast sticking all over the lid and everything. You probably could, but I'd rather not. Your whole idea is just to introduce as much air in this as possible. And as you can see, we're getting some foam, so we're doing what we're supposed to do here. I'd only do this for a couple minutes max. You don't really need to do it very long. I think on the 5-gallon batches, they recommended 5 minutes of this, but I don't think it's really that necessary. The fact you're pouring it from the kettle into here too also introduces some air as well. So, all right, I think that's good. We got a lot of foam there. All right, so we're gonna get our yeast in. I did sanitize our yeast packet and our scissors in the solution that we used to sanitize our fermenter. All right, so our yeast is there. We're going to get this in a cooler, well, I wouldn't say cooler, around 70-degree dark room. And our spot we normally put our fermenters, you want it out of the sunlight. And we'll give this about 2 weeks before we bottle it up. And we'll see what we got in about 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. I have been aging my beer a little longer in the bottles after I bottle it. It just seems like it does a little bit better if you go 3 to 4 weeks instead. So I have been trying to hold off and go a little longer. But we'll see you. We'll see you back for the bottle of this one in a few weeks. Hit that like button. Subscribe to our channel if you aren't already. Check out brewingdaddy.com. And check out all the links in our description. Down below, we got links to our merchandise store. We sell Brewing Daddy hats, t-shirts, all that good stuff. We also have a link to our sponsor, More Beer. This is our very last Northern Brewer recipe in the 1 gallon. So when we start back, we normally take a little short break during the summertime because it gets hot, and do some other stuff. But when we start back up in the late summer, we'll be doing more beer. We do have one more 5-gallon batch we're going to be doing, and we'll be doing that real soon before it gets too hot. All right, take care and peace out. We'll see you next time.